The way it currently stands, forced labor, slavery takes precedence over rehabilitation and public safety.
Oh, by the way, while the Biden administration gives reparations to everyone but freed people, look at the billions he has run over to Ukraine.
We don't have black grocery stores because if you think about it now, just to get in that supply chain, it's almost unheard of.
They don't want the truth to get out. Okay? I don't want to know what my family did or what all these people did and all this stuff like that. Okay?
Come on.
You read that 500-page report.
There's this thing called white superiority and black inferiority. That mindset allows all of the behaviors that we've seen across generations.
I had no idea that that church I was running by every day was something my grandfather established.
This is not a handout. This is a debt that is owed.
You know, Allensworth was like the internet of his time in 1904, 1905.
The total black population in California is about 2.6 million, and then of that, the descendants compose about 2.2 million of that. So California, with a multi-billion-dollar surplus, can absolutely afford to satisfy the international terms for reparations, beginning with compensation.
Any financial obstacle that exists that impedes the success of increasing financial prosperity needs to be dealt with and eliminated.
No matter where we've been, no matter what part of this fight we've been in, we've been harmed, and we've had harm done to us specifically.
When I got to Los Angeles, this was some of the worst segregation I'd ever seen. And remember, I'm telling you, I'm from Mississippi.
Because as you can see, I'm giving you broken history right now, you know? But I had to give it to you guys today. I said, no, I got to show them this because it's so precious and nobody really knows about it.
Overnight, it's like, oh, it's no longer the quarters, now it's Lincoln Heights. Oh, so now we get to use Abraham Lincoln for our name. And you think about all the other people that they could have used, but they picked Lincoln. And I think that's sort of a stereotypical of what they do.
There wasn't any black restaurants. As far as black business and weed, it wasn't none.
Black people don't have that kind of luxury. Our historically black communities have been redistricted multiple times.
Why has it been easier for other groups than us?
Because of anti-black hatred.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR room, don't tune in.
All right, welcome everyone to Men Mass Media Group. My name is Yamoya, and I'm in the building with the one and only Dr. Truth Bey. How you doing, Dr. Truth Bey?
How you doing? Thank you so much, Yamoya. Great work you also do. Reparations is a very important topic, and you did a brilliant job covering it from beginning to end. So thank you so much for having me here.
Appreciate you. So you want to give those that don't know you, because I know there's some people on this platform that do know you, but for those that will be watching it live stream now or later on in the replay, can you give the family, let us know a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So I am born and raised here in Cali, and from Watts specifically. And policy and legislation was not my forte. I actually focused on film and media. And as I got older and seeing a lot of issues with our Black community, specifically, I had lost my son in 2009 through gun violence. And it was very life-changing for me. It wasn't actually here in California, it was in New York while I was going through my studies. And I thought New York would have been a safer place, but apparently, gun violence and violence in general, especially in the Black community, is a nationwide issue. And since 2009, I had really focused on the issues of what was the cause and effect of why our neighborhoods were the way they were. And that's when I focused on policy and council, governance. And so I really looked at the LA City Council, started studying the city council agendas and seeing how our neighborhoods and communities, how they are funded, how they are distributed. Certain neighborhoods have more, less. And really that's what started my journey. And so in 2013, we started a nonprofit, the Kingdom Warriors Foundation, which was named after my son, Kingdom James Cernan. And since then, we started outreach and engagement with the homeless in Skid Row, and we just branched out from there. Now we work on policy and legislation and building housing in general. And so here I am, really trying to focus on legislation for my people.
All right, facts. So before we actually get into your presentation, I usually ask this of people. So we know where you're from, but where are you from? Where your people from? How did they migrate out to California? How'd you get out to California?
Okay, well, we are, first of all, I'm a descendant of slave. So my ancestors from the good ship Desire. So slave family name is Desire. So we have Haitian background, Haitian descent. And so we came on the good ship Desire in 1636. So the Boston Harbor particularly is where most of my people are from. So a lot of the tragedies concerning descendants of slaves is really on the East Coast. And so being here, in LA, it's just a different location, just better weather. And so the issues with the Black community is still rampant. And so when it comes to reparations, particularly, it's personal, specifically because our ancestors built this country per se. And on top of that, being Haitian descent, we have also a distinct history amongst here in America, amongst not only Black America, but the relations as far as the slave revolt has always been tied to with Haiti. So I always had like a double whammy, so to speak, being a Black woman here in America, but being a Haitian Black woman here in America sort of has its extra pits in there. And so we want to, like I said, reparations has always been in our blood, since that's what we had to pay for to France in the tune of $160 billion to this day. And the United States has not been transparent on their involvement with Haiti as far as I'm concerned. So that's where my family lineage, some of us were even labeled as Desire, based on the William Pierce's conduct on the good ship Desire. So we do have a lot of resources that needs to be given back to us, starting with gold. Haitian gold and resources are still in Boston. Almost $900 million worth of gold is in Boston as we speak. So I really do want to see some type of closure when it comes to this distinct history for descendants of slaves.
Okay, so just so we understand, because we gotta get things clarity. Okay, we have to make sure that we understand correctly. So I know you do mention you have Haitian ancestry, right?
Yes.
So I understand correctly, and our audience understands correctly, because you mentioned the 1600s. Am I correct when you said
1619? Yes.
Okay.
And Haiti was not even. Yeah, Haiti wasn't established until 1804. It was called the island of Hispaniola at the time.
Absolutely.
But we are original descendants of the Taino people. So we are mixed of Africans that came on the slave ship mixed with the Taino. And so that's really who the root cause of Haitians are the Taino natives mixed with Africans. And so there is a distinct separation because the colonization of the French and the Spaniards created a second class of Haitians. So you have the mulattoes and you have they call T Blanc or Little Whites. And so they are a distinct group, but the actual Africans, that, that's specific. So those who have not mixed as well with the French or even the Taínos, so to speak, are direct descendants from the motherland. And so that's the majority of the Haitian population makeup. It's like 90% of us are African Haitians, like real Africans. And even the culture is transmitted through today's Haitian society. But again, it's been mixed specifically with French and Spaniards. So you have specific different classes of Haitians.
Okay. So just so, as I said before, we want to get some clarity here. So we know that in California specifically, the term, descendants of American slaves, right? Mm-hmm. Those people who, we're saying basically if you can prove from, a certain time here in this country, basically 1619 up until, I believe it was prior to the 1900s. So, 1899 and before. So my point, what I'm asking you basically is like when your people, your folks migrated, it sounds like involuntarily to Boston, right? Mm-hmm. At that point in time, was your family then would be considered a Black American descendant of slavery? Is, I guess, my question to you at that particular time.
Yeah.
Okay.
At that time, we weren't mixed in, so to speak. The first slaves arrived in what is called now Haiti. At the time, it was, like I said, it was called Hispaniola, 1492, so to speak. This is where Christopher Columbus actually discovered. It was nowhere near America. We weren't considered Haitians at the time. We were just considered Africans. And so when we transported from Africa to Haiti and Haiti became the Free Black Republic, that's when we adopted the name Haitians, Haiti. It's actually a Taíno origin name, meaning land of the hills. And so when we migrated in 1636, William Pierce, it brought 11 slaves only, along with goods, because the good ship Desire was mostly a cargo ship. It wasn't intended to bring in people. But because the height of the slave trade was coming into fruition and people were making money off of slave labor, that's where slavery, that ship specifically was one of the first ships to bring in actual Africans, like actual people aside from cargo as well. And so as we progressed and Haiti became established, that land in where William Pierce brought the 11 Haitians is now Haiti. But at that time, we weren't called Haiti because Haiti wasn't established as a name yet.
Okay. So, and I think that's why it's important that we get some clarification because, what, and don't get me wrong, I appreciate my Haitian brothers and sisters, you know what I'm saying? Because without, Toussaint, Dessalines, doing what they do, a lot of our probably energy out here in what we now call the Americas wouldn't be as energetic as it is. So, we got to give props where props is due. But when we talk about like the eligibility class, I think it's important that we clarify who those people are, right? When we talk about specifically in America. So, and just so our audience knows, right? On our platform, we're really about like factual information, like period, like historically speaking. But when it comes to legislation, as we go through this, not only, as we talk, how to be politically active, but we just want to make sure that we're targeting those eligible class of people who've been harmed. Yeah. Right. So
and it should
right
focus directly on lineage based. So if you are a descendant of slave on this soil, that's specifically what reparations should be targeting, is that specific group.
Right.
Absolutely.
All right, wonderful. All right, so I just want to get some clarification because, some people, who are currently of Haitian descent may feel like, okay, I'm eligible for it because I'm of Haitian, but it's just like, but there's a criteria, right?
It's a criteria, right?
you fall into, because your ancestors actually came to this land at a particular point in time. It just happened to be from Haiti. You know, some of us came directly, you know, from the motherland here. Some of us came from Jamaica eventually during this specific point in time in American history. You know, some of us, and obviously a lot of this was involuntary, right? When we got here.
Absolutely.
So, okay.
Absolutely.
Thanks for that clarification. So let's get busy here. Let's get moving here. So, I know we wanted to go into the collaborative proposal, so I'm gonna go ahead and share this screen here. Let me know if you can see it. All right, and thanks, family, for coming through. All right, so, all right, let me take this off the screen. All right, Dr. Bey, can you see the screen?
Yes, I can.
Okay, is this the slide that we want to start with?
Absolutely. So we have a campaign called the 1% campaign, and where it stands for Outstanding New Education. And it's a simple slogan, and where we're asking that we need to come together some way, somehow, in something simple. And we're requesting that everyone give 1% of their resources, time, and income into reducing the biggest issues in not only in our Black community primarily, which is homelessness, incarceration, and violence. And so the acronym HIV. And so this is a simple campaign in where everyone can benefit from by donating their time, their resources into building the youth centers, building housing, things that we need in the Black community on a larger scale. We need to have something simple in order for us to move forward. We have great organizations working nationwide, but we all have to have that same synergy when it comes to that mission of setting Black America free. It really is there's really many different formulas, but there's really one plan of action that needs to move forward. So overall, we want to incorporate and work with other organizations to really make this happen. And so we implore that everyone uses their resources and time, because that's actually free. That's something that's already in your possession. And if everyone can give their resources to a certain location, and this is based on city by city, town by town, state by state. So we want to work on an enclave in a city, because every city is different. So for example, Los Angeles is different from Oakland. Sacramento is different from the Bay Area. So we want to work with the politics in that area and strengthen organizations so we can be effective in the area that we're operating in. So that's just one campaign that started in 2013, and we really want to launch it on a national level, so that way we're starting here in California. Many people have different names for the campaign, but overall it's the same formula. It's putting all our resources together for the common goal, and that really is to empower our Black youth. I mean, no shade to other races or nations, but our Black youth have been given zero to nothing since the beginning, and I don't think it's fair for them to continue to make lemonade with no lemons, so to speak. So we're trying to create some lemons here, hence the yellow color, to make it easier for our politicians, for our organizations, our elders, to have a simple plan of action to really put their resources together to make this happen for our youth. And so we wanted to have town forums concerning this and see the execution of this as soon as possible. So we're starting right here in Sacramento.
All right. Do you want to name some of the, I guess, brands, companies, organizations that you're currently working with? It looks like there's a couple of logos up here.
Yeah, well, we actually have a list of Sacramento organizations that we're planning to work with. We're not at liberty to discuss that yet because we're still in the planning phase. But in the next 30 to 45 days, we will have an established partition on what we're going to do here for the city of Sacramento. So we'll be attending the city council on a regular basis to work with and get to know the issues for Sacramento, but I Am SAC particularly is one of the forefront organizations that has really been leading the charge as far as what they want to do for the youth as well. And so there are many other organizations, but we want to really highlight and work with the Sacramento orgs that are moving and shaking and really making an effort to bring dynamic programs. So 3D is one of the main things that we have to focus on with this ever-changing world of virtual reality and artificial intelligence. So we want to have a training course to teach kids, youth, immersive 3D expanded animation. And so the Hip Hop Fraternity is one of our major networks of our youth program. So you can log on to hiphopfraternity.com. Hip Hop Fraternity is a basis of a think tank that has been working to try to bring programs to the youth. And we met some great organizations along the way, along the similar lines and missions. So Hip Hop TV, we just met as well, that has the same mission for our youth in the Bay Area. So shout out to Chantel and Sean for making it happen. Oakland artists as well, to support them in housing and mental health. So it's not just creating artists and helping them become entrepreneurs. It's really focusing on a broader community program that will better serve our homeless, our unhoused, our foster youth, many of them that have so much talent, but they have nowhere to go. They don't have mentors to really guide them into the ultimate goal of becoming successful entrepreneurs. So we want to create a platform with all of the organizations who are along the same mission of empowering our youth to really broaden the scope of resources extended to these organizations. A lot of them lack of equity, as Queen Sheba Zion we met, that has been leading the charge as well in Sacramento, Queen Amina, just to name a few, that gathered together to really try to make things happen for our young people in Sacramento. So I look forward to growing and building with these organizations and seeing how we can actually execute a ultimate plan of action for our young people.
Okay, so why Sacramento? Why specifically? Because you reside in Los Angeles. Why Sacramento for you? Why are you concentrating here in Sacramento?
Well, Sacramento is the policy and legislation place. And so because we want to focus on policy and legislation, we can't really do anything without a strong foundation of legislation to help support what we're doing. And because all the political members are here, this is where we want to start off with. It is the capital of California. So it makes sense to start in the epicenter of where everything is distributed to other cities. So it's not just Los Angeles that we're focusing on because I'm here, it's the Bay Area. So Oakland and San Francisco is alongside with this partnership, because the Bay Area is, has just as bad, like look at the Tenderloin district in San Francisco. We have a whole homeless encampment in Oakland. So we have in Sacramento right here, the same homeless issues that we're going to discuss is plaguing these major cities. So we want to really target in the center and see how we can distribute the resources throughout the other cities. So aside from 3D animation or expanded animation to teach the youth, we also want to teach policy and legislation. So page 13, if we look at the things that our young people are lacking, the main things that they're lacking is policy and legislation. And so we want them to be empowered and to train them not only for these political seats, because we need new blood. We can't have the same old agendas from the politicians, especially with the Constitution that was created in 1776. It didn't have Black people in mind. So we cannot expect prosperous opportunities for Blacks today if we don't have legislation to protect our Black bodies, to encourage equity, particularly. That's why equity is the main issue of closing in the wealth gap. And so policy and legislation, as far as giving them the tools they need on how to speak, public forums, to hold their own councils, to have a language that they can understand that's relatable, that will merge hip hop and government. So we don't really have a platform that can help our youth in that fashion. So that's what we're creating, working together with other organizations to create this platform.
Okay, so since this, I think this is a good time to segue into legislation. So can you explain as we go along what some of this terminology is that we see on the screen currently?
Absolutely. So you have the economic ideas 101 on politics. What is your governance? So what we want to do is encourage our young people to first know who their local governance is, depending on where they live. So we always start off with the lowest end of the totem, which is usually the city council of that area. And so for them to know who the city council is most important. For example, you have Mayor Steinberg, who's obviously the mayor of the city of Sacramento, and you have 8 districts in Sacramento. So you have District 1, Lisa Kaplan, District 2, Sean Lolia. Then you have District 3, Karina Tomatis. Then you have District 4, Katie Valenzuela. Then you have District 5, Katie Maple. District 6, Eric Guerra. District 7, Rick Jennings. And District 8, May Vang. And so these are the basic entities that when you ask a young person who's your local governance in Sacramento, they 9 times out of 10 would not know this. So we want to give them a tutorial on identifying who your local politicians are and encourage them to attend council. So there are 2 agendas that we can go over as well. There's a youth council at 5 p.m. at Sacramento City Hall that will be talking about the student council that they have concerning the issues that our young people are facing in Sacramento. So they already have established a youth council there. And so we want to work with the community engagement department of Sacramento to help encourage the programs that we are putting forth for them to be the liaison, that's where their position is. The community development or engagement department is the bridge between the people and the politicians of that area. So we want to identify the persons responsible for bringing programs to our youth and have the council, the body, actually execute the request on behalf of the people. So it's a 2-part fold. And so as we teach these policy and legislation courses, they'll be able to also learn after their city what the state governance is. So we start with Gavin Newsom, who's our current governor of California. Then we work our way down with state assembly members, who are the key senators, who are the key House of Representatives. So this is what entails our policy and legislation course to the youth, just basic 101. And then from there, the young person that is involved will automatically take it to another level. That's just the nature of our young people, is that once they understand something, they will put their own spin to it, they will add to it, they will inspire others. But if they're not even in tune with the first steps of identifying who their local governance is, then they won't be inspired to take it to the next step. And so legislation and also other entities and programs that are being put forth by the governor, our young people need to know about. For example, there's a program called Care Court. Care Court is very important for us to know, because this is actually a law that was passed by Gavin Newsom last year. And it stands for the Community Assistance Recovery and Empowerment Act, also known as SB 1338. It was authored by Senator Thomas Unberg, a Democrat from Santa Ana. And actually, Thomas Unberg is somebody who has been very positive and supportive when it comes to legislation for the people. And so we want other senators to take note of how Senator Thomas Unberg is supporting the constituents that put him in office, and to help execute and finalize these bills into law. And so the Community Assistance Recovery and Empowerment is actually a court system that Gavin Newsom signed in order to help impact those with severe mental illness or those unhoused. But the problem is, if we, the people, are not involved in this process, what is going to end up happening is that the existing court system, which are the state superior courts or the federal courts, are going to launch their own version of the care court. And we already know how that is. It's going to be forced treatment. There's going to be no compassion, no lived experience, people that will understand the needs of the people. A lot of the mental illness is caused by the same system that's creating this care court. And so Los Angeles County is going to be one of 8 cities or counties that has been designated to launch the care court. They plan on launching in December, and this has about a $50 million price tag to it as well. But what we are encouraging is our local entities to know about this, and that we, the people, can actually create a systematic care system. So we're talking about mental health providers, organizations that's focusing on empowering the people, that we can hire or train our own judges, DAs, to really fill and create a court system that is by the people. This is something that we currently need to present to Gavin Newsom, which is why other senators to go along with Thomas Umberg to process this request. So by the time December 2023 rolls out, that we would have our local people engaged enough to actually launch this program directly, rather having our local entities do that themselves.
Okay, so just, kind of just to recap, SB 1338 is currently going to go through the legislation process.
No, it's already passed.
It's already a bill.
Last year, that's correct.
Okay,
yes.
Gotcha.
But the next step to this act is the care court system. So the court system is something that Gavin Newsom just recently signed as an order. Now the cities and the counties are required to create a court system to now help those with mental health. So family members who have family members who are suffering through schizophrenia, bipolar, or who are extreme, any other extreme mental health condition, now have an opportunity to present their cases to this specialized court system. And it's only going to be one in every city that is designated. So it's not going to be multiple locations. It's only going to be one location, a certain amount of judges, maybe 1 or 2, that's going to give the ruling on the treatment for that said person. And so we want to avoid that at all costs, because we know that this system is not compassionate on any level, especially to Black folks, to Black people. So we definitely need to know about this and implement our own plan of action to help support this system to create and run it, as well as create housing. Housing is the main issue of why a lot of mental issue happens. You have so many people that's been gentrified, that has been pushed back, that has been redlined, and they turn to lawyers that turn it down because they're involved with the politicians. So they really feel that there's nowhere to go. And so every day that passes, every month that passes turn into years, and their mental illness exasperates to the point where now they feel that it is extreme. So nobody's really born with extreme mental health illnesses. It is a system, or the systems that create the issues, the trauma that causes the mental illness. So we cannot have our local governance run a court system that's now going to force treatment to our people without our involvement. And so we have to be real.
Okay, if I can just quickly interject and then ask you a question. So sure. I just want to read what's on the screen, and then I want to ask you, because you mentioned something. So it says care court will be implemented statewide and will start with a phase-in approach. The first cohort to implement care court includes the counties of Glenn, Orange, Riverside, San Diego, Stanislaus, Tuolumne. How do you pronounce that?
Yes, Tulare. Yes.
Tulare. Okay, and San Francisco. All right. So when these particular, when this cohort care court is implemented in these particular rollouts in these cities. So you mentioned our involvement as citizens, residents here in California. What exactly do you mean by that in terms of like how we can hopefully try to get better policy for our people, because I mean, we're just only ordinary citizens. Like how does this work when, you know, this bill has already been passed and is implemented and the system's already set up for this?
Right. So the system is us, we the people. And what we have been trained, because we're born in a governance where they have not served the people. And we had made it has, because of the lack of accountability, our involvement or the lack thereof in policy, in politics in general. For example, let's say city council meetings, county council meetings. How many Black people are involved there, attended, speak on public comment? Very few. And so we want to hold each other accountable for not allowing the involvement that needs to happen. And so it really is our complacency or lack thereof that allowed the system to make decisions for us. But if we come together and unified in the voting population, those of us who vote need to come together. There's power in numbers with the voting population. And when we make a decision and educate ourselves on the local issues, we have to make a conscious decision and take the time to really study and show ourselves approved. We can't say that we want change when we're not actively learning about how to make that change in a legal stance, in a legislative stance. We don't have to be politicians to know politics. You just got to know what is the issues, how are laws passed, how is funding distributed in your community. And that is an individual choice. And that's why the cause to action is to have town forums, to have bi-weekly events where you invite the community. Outreach and engagement is extremely important for us to engage our neighbors and our people into what needs to be done. And so we can't be rigid, or we can't fight back each other when it comes to solutions at the table, because at the end, nobody wins. But if we have people who are knowledgeable in this field that are engaging other organizations and the locals on a daily basis, it's not a one-time thing. We got to constantly make a dedicated choice to want to teach and outreach our people on specific matters. So what we want to do is tell them that this is a city council in our area. We have to mobilize the people, speak on the agenda, and we have to use our voting rights, our privileges that we throw away every time, to abstain our voting until we have certain enmities in our communities met, until we have certain issues in our communities resolved. And that really is, it's not an overnight thing. It has to be a consistent, revolutionary process. It's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week job to mobilize your people. You have to be dedicated. You have to love your people first and foremost to be consistent in this work. And those who are activists and organizers know exactly the work that it takes. It's grueling. It's exhausting, but it's necessary for us to be consistent, and until we get the majority of the masses in on the same page. And that's where it takes. We got to have love, patience, and respect. Most of all, patience. And I emphasize that because we are sometimes real tough to work with, and we have to be acknowledgeable on what's at the table. But in the end, we got to be consistent and love on each other and communicate in a way where we make things happen. And this is the season. The good thing with the Reparations Task Force is that it has opened the eyes of many people who are not, who have been sleeping, who have been voting blue no matter who. And that has been a detrimental part, especially for the Black community. Our Black votes are very important, and they do matter. So now we have to mobilize a plan to make our politicians who we elect to serve the people and not their self-interest. And that really is the ultimate goal.
Okay. So can you just run us, and then I know we have a couple more slides here, but give us like an example where, you know, you're talking about, you know, advocacy in this particular care court. So can you kind of give us an example, run us through like a process where, I don't know, like somebody wants to get involved, like how would something get changed? I'm just trying to get to like
Yeah.
the core of like what people can do, what action people can take just by, an example. You can even use a hypothetical.
Yeah, absolutely. So the steps, first and foremost, again, is to get involved in your local city or county council. The county councils have discussed on their agenda the care courts in their area. So Los Angeles, I'm very familiar with the Los Angeles County Council, and they had on their agenda about 2 months ago the care court. That's how I was able to know what the plan of action for Los Angeles is and the launch date. So your area, you find out the care court agenda that's on their city council. San Francisco, again, also London Breed. Mayor London Breed has also discussed care court on their agenda. So you just got to follow along with your local county council meetings. From there, you will find a plethora of initiatives and agendas, things that we as the community need to be involved in. But without us being involved in a local council meetings, it's like the blind leading the blind. It's like eating air, running after the wind. It does nothing. So until we are actually involved in your local governance, it's going to be very difficult to understand how to change things in your community. And so there's no magic pill. It really is, the first step is to find out when your next council meeting is in your area, get involved. You can look at past agendas, what has been discussed. You could take the last 60 days. If 60 days is too much, look at the last 30 days of your council meetings. What did they speak about? They always have a meeting. They post it up, their meetings, either on the website or they have a YouTube channel. Majority of the major cities, they have a YouTube channel for governance. So they will always post up their past meetings and take the time to study it and watch it. Some of them are many hours long. Some of them may be an hour long, 2 hours long. But we as individuals got to take the time to make that commitment to really follow along with your local governance. And that is how it'll be better for us as a national. In order for us to be a national anything, we have to focus on our local municipalities. We have to focus on our local. So if you live within the city construct, your responsibility, especially as a Black person in that area that's paying taxes, that's born and raised in that city, you need to follow up with your city council if you haven't been involved. If you live along the county board borderlines, then you usually attend the county councils. But overall, these local agencies are the ones that you have to follow along so you can know what the next steps are in your community. And so Sacramento County and the city of Sacramento, they work along the same agendas, even though the city of Sacramento focuses on the city. But the county focuses on the city of Sacramento and other surrounding cities. And so it's really important that we know and establish our boundaries. Always look it up. Google is your best friend. We have everything that we need at our fingertips. So when you have time, you research your map districts, you study your map districts, what's the borderline, what's the boundaries, and who runs it. And then from there, once you master your local entities, you could also find out who's your congressperson in that area, or who is your senator, or who's your assembly person in that area. It's very important to know these entities in order for us to present the needs in a proper fashion.
Okay, so let's go to the next slide. You want to explain what's going on here?
Absolutely. So in 2019, when Gavin Newsom became governor in January of 2019, about a few months later in April, there was a position called the homeless czar that he put out because he really wanted to tackle the homeless crisis. So this was a state-appointed person or entity that was able to focus on homeless everything. That means the COC funding, the continuum of care funding, the HUD funding, state funding, and then whatever cities are for that area. But it would concentrate on the whole entire state of California. So this position was a designated position in where it had a specific role. And so at that time, we had many Black organizations, homeless service providers that applied for this job. And right after he applied for this job, he had homeless advisors, which included Darrell Steinberg and Mark Ridley Thomas, that were part of his advisory board. Yeah, right there. So you see, that is a picture of the initial meetings that they had concerning what the homeless czar would be. But when the applications were in that it was too many Black organizations or agencies that applied for it that had the solution, immediately afterwards, Gavin Newsom took that position off the table, which is what the Sacramento Bee reported back in April. And shout out to Sophia Balog, who actually did this piece concerning Gavin Newsom removing it from the table. So he actually mentioned in this article, Gavin Newsom stated that it was his homeless advisory council, which included these people that you see pictured here, that advised him to remove that job off the table. But then later on, we come to find out that actual Mayor Darrell Steinberg was the one that was given the job as homeless czar. So we see the city of Sacramento, the homeless crisis in disarray here. So we want to know exactly what our homeless czar is doing concerning finding solutions to homelessness.
So when you say homeless czar, are you saying Mayor Steinberg is a homeless czar just in Sacramento, or is it like the homeless czar
for the whole state?
In other state?
For the whole state.
Okay.
He just happens to be the mayor of Sacramento, but the homeless czar is a state-led position. So that means he has control over the homeless issues in the whole entire state of California. But the only thing we ask is just to focus on the city of Sacramento, in which he's the mayor of. So our people in Sacramento can speak for themselves. The businesses can speak for themselves on the issues of homelessness, how it's affecting our neighborhoods in every aspect. And this is unnecessary homelessness. There are sometimes you can't prevent homelessness on certain aspects, but the way the crisis that it is in the state of California, it is totally preventable. But you have agencies that have never experienced homelessness. You have a lot of people that are using homelessness. It is a mega department, a lot of funding. It created careers for many of these people. And so they don't really want homelessness solved. But what they don't understand is that when it comes to a point where now it's over exacerbated to the point where it's become a national declaration, a state of emergency, as many of the mayors have declared. It's a state of emergency. They are the ones that created this state of emergency. They're the ones that created this crisis. So why are they perplexed as to why the homeless crisis is out of control? So what our job is to educate our community, our people, on what the issues are with homelessness. And we have to hold our politicians accountable by creating programs and demanding that these programs be funded. So that way the federal funding that comes to the state of California goes straight to the community and the work that is being done with people with boots to the ground. And that is what we're hoping to accomplish in this year before February 2024, is to establish this quorum, this coalition of people coming together. So we do have someone that is running for the mayor of Sacramento. Her name is Dr. Flo Coffer. And Dr. Flo Coffer is also a mental health advocate, wonderful spirit. She's native of Sacramento, and she definitely wants to see changes. So we 100% support her in her effort in becoming the mayor. And next year, Darrell Steinberg will be termed out, so he cannot, run again. And we definitely want somebody who's for the people to be in that seat. So that's particularly why we want to support Dr. Flo Coffer in this position. Alongside that, we'll have a homeless czar that we, the people, also will know about and to be elected. And so we're hoping to seek to work a campaign where the people can have voting rights, to have people in these seats rather than be appointed by politicians that don't have the best interests of the people at heart.
Wonderful. Yeah, we actually had Dr. Flo on our platform. Man, it was probably about a year or two ago. I think it was actually a health related segment that we did. But yeah, we wish Dr. Flo nothing but success here in
Absolutely.
Sacramento, upcoming of elections. Definitely we need some change.
Yes.
So let's actually one more question, if we can make it, probably wrap it up with 1 or 2 minutes, and then I want to go to the agenda for July 25th. So you mentioned that there were applicants who were part of the Black or the homeless advocacy for Black people.
Right.
Now, it ended up getting denied, right? But do you recall actually at that point of time, just give estimate numbers. You don't have to give exact numbers, but how many, Black organizations, other non-Black organizations were actually applying for? Was there like some data information on that particular point before it seemed like the project got canceled?
Yes, it was about 17 Black agencies that I know that applied. And these are agencies that are in the council session, so they're very familiar with the politics in that area. So when they applied, and majority are ran by Black women. And so that's something that was very specific. And so I represent many of the Black agencies that did apply. Many of them are just so tired of the politics that they don't speak out as much. But I have a big mouth. Okay, so some people know I have no qualms with telling politicians where to go, but when they are not doing the right thing. But what I do want to see is that they be transparent. The way the system is working is that our taxes, hand over foot, millions and millions of dollars are being wasted for their personal nonprofits. We need to have politicians that don't have personal nonprofits that they're trying to fund. And that's the problem that we have. If they're working 100% for the community, then a lot of the funding will not be trickled down in such minute amounts. For example, they may pour out an RFP for economic equity for a city in the amount of, let's say, $400,000, when the actual amount for that entity, for that program, may have been $1.5 million. But they shave it off, take what they take, and then they give the crumbs to the community. And this is why transparency has to stop. Transparency has to begin. And until we, the people, again, a lack of not being involved in politics is a reason why they get away with it year after year after year without accountability. This is why a lot of our constituents are frustrated. We have a big part to play in involving accountability. And until we do so as a collective, we'll always have a group of people that's trying to work on behalf of the community. And a lot of us will end up frustrated because the majority of the community are just, for whatever reason, are not involved as they should be. So we want to make it easy for the young people specifically. That's why we target our young people, because they're the ones that are going to be running things when we are dead and gone. And so we want to give them the tools to be politically sound so they can create decisions and programs all on their own, rather than the help of the elders who are maybe outdated in these actions.
All right, so devil's advocate, and then I want to jump into the agenda here.
Yes, sir.
So, some people say that, well, in order to make change, you got to pay these politicians,
Lobby.
lobbying, etc. And let's keep it real. The Black American, comparatively speaking to, other ethnics, especially, we got plenty of data out there. The dominant white society, whatever, we're pretty much a wealthless group. So, what would you say to, we got to pay politicians and it's just not worth it if basically our group is wealthless? And on top of that, Black Americans, especially descendants, were maybe 3 to 5% of California right now. Mm-hmm. So why should we even do this? If we can't pay politicians, then nothing's going to get changed. What's your response to that?
Right. So again, we're born in a system that has been corrupted for so long. And once we create an alternative governance, this is why revolutionary Pan-African groups, international groups like the Friends of the African Union, those who are connected to the United Nations, we have an obligation to create an alternative for our people when we know this governance is not doing so. And so we have a lot of people that are doing this work, that are putting it in place. Again, we have to mobilize it on a weekly, daily, monthly, yearly basis until we all get it. We cannot continue to be under this governance where, again, the politicians that we elect, they are over the system the way it's created. You have one person that's maybe over 250,000 people, or if you're not county level, one elected official that's over 2 million people in their area. We won't have teachers teach 100 kids in their classroom because they won't get that individual attention. The same thing applies with politics. We cannot expect for one politician that we, even though we elect them, to have to give individual attention and to sort out the needs. What they're going to do, they're going to focus and hire their own staff. They're going to fund their pockets, and nothing's wrong with self-interest. But again, this governance has been built on that since 1776. That's why I don't really care for this governance the way it is. I care about reparations. I care about creating an alternative for our people. But again, it is us, we the people, that have to wake up to make it happen. So until that happens, of course, politicians will tell you to your face, whoever has the biggest checkbook is the one that I'm going to be supporting. That's just the nature of the beast. So are we okay with that system? If you are, then okay, then do what we have done before, which is nothing. But if we are not okay with this system, there are steps that we need to take, and we need to have the strong activists step in front to not dupe the people and to teach the people correctly, not to encourage them to vote if they get nothing for that vote. So I'm not going to mention names, but you got a lot of Black organizations that want to empower the Black vote. No, I say no to that, because that is leading us to a burning building. We know that this system's not going to work for Black people. We know that if you don't have a certain checkbook or amount of wealth, it's not going to be catered to you. So we got to be real about things and hold these organizations just as accountable as the politicians. Okay, so Al Sharpton, I have nothing against him, but he's a perfect example of what I'm saying. Jesse Jackson as well. They have been career politicians, so they have maybe some Black initiatives that they so-called initiated, but their ultimate goal is to increase the Black vote for these politicians. And our job is not to support politicians that don't support us. We have to have a change in trajectory. That's why I say no reparations in 2023, no Black vote in 2024.
All right. And the reason why I asked you that question is because just to get, from your perspective and clarity, because, a lot of us who are activists and who advocate, for whatever we advocate, these are the things that we're told, that if you don't have any money, then why are you doing this? If you don't have any money, then you can't make any change. And,
right.
You might as well just give up on life and just not do anything. Right.
Right.
Right. So I just wanted to just to get your perspective on that, and just say that, number one, obviously keep up the good work. And I just want to say from my perspective, yes, we may be a wealthless people, but we do have a say-so. We are Americans, and we have every right to do what we need to do to make sure that as individuals, as residents and citizens of the United States of America, that we do benefit from everything that the United States and the states provide. So, regardless, in my opinion, of, and this isn't, I'm saying this as my opinion, that we just need to get activated. We need to get politically educated. So yeah, thank you for that. And family, if you're out there, if you're listening, just don't give up. A lot of people are going to say we need to pay politicians. And, in many cases, especially when you're talking about the corporate level, right?
Yeah.
They pay off people. But, we just have to start what we have to start with. right? And
Right,
into the
and they're
interim,
absolutely right. They're absolutely right. You do got to pay politicians. That's exactly why we need to have an alternative governance. The question is, are you okay with that? John Q, black person, are we okay with that? And that's something that's why we can't teach our young people to continue on this madness.
Right. All right, so let's get into these the agenda here that's coming up on the 25th. Do you want to kind of give us a rundown of what's going to happen on this tomorrow, right? What is this, 2 to 5?
Yes.
Is that correct?
So
okay.
There's 2 meetings. City of Sacramento usually has 2 meetings on that day. So the 2 o'clock agenda, it speaks on primarily, you can scroll up. There are about 33 agenda items there. So let's start with, we just highlighted some of the agenda items in which it's important to speak about. So when it comes to operations of housing navigation, that's agenda number 7. And in each agenda, there's usually a contact person on the bottom of each agenda. And so what that does is that gives you a key person that you want to follow up with concerning that agenda item. So we also have a firehouse that is being donated as well. That's, I believe, agenda number 9.
All right. So you want to keep going? Okay.
Yes. So when you...
Can you see it? You want me to pull it up more, or is that good?
Okay. Yes, I can see it. Yeah. So the surplus property to the fire department. That's another agenda item. And again, the point people on the bottom, those are the people that you want to speak on. So if you want to speak on the agenda, you look at the agenda item, what they're really talking about, and you apply what your ask is in that agenda. So for example, there's a lot of property, surplus property is the key word in agenda 9. Surplus property is plentiful, not only in the city of Sacramento, but in major cities everywhere. Oakland, San Francisco, Los Angeles. They have a ton of empty buildings sitting there, especially in the downtown area. So it's interesting that they would find a surplus property to donate to the fire department, where you have the fire department that is causing havoc for a lot of Black businesses there. So these are the things that when we learn about how things are intertwined and how they don't benefit the Black community. How many Black agencies or organizations that we know that are just given surplus property? That is almost unheard of. So when we see these things happening, we could present this in a logistical manner to the city council, because your public comment is golden. It's on record. And so it reaches not only to the state, but on a federal level. So when you make your public comment on certain issues, you make sure that you know what you're talking about. You know exactly what the direct ask is. You do it in a timely fashion. Public comment is usually 1 minute to about 3 minutes. It depends on how they're structured according to Robert Rules of Order. But when you are able to speak or attend the city councils and speak on any agenda, you tie it into what is the final thing you'd like to see the council do concerning this agenda item. And so that's what we're going to accomplish on July 25th at the city council. So if you scroll down, this 5 p.m. is the second city council meeting, and they only have 2 agenda items on this city council, unlike the 2 p.m. where they have 33 agendas. Now, the one agenda that we're highlighting is the summer at City Hall. I think you went down too far.
Okay, where's that?
Scroll back up. Yeah, right there. That right there. So the 5 p.m. agenda, that is the second city council meeting at 5. They are going to be doing presentations and file reports related to several issues concerning the youth programs in Sacramento. So it's going to be very important for people to attend there. They're going to be talking about the awareness for youth programs in Sacramento, addressing clothing and waste, the dangers of fentanyl, homelessness and job accessibility, human trafficking, safety prevention, and homelessness prevention. These are the top issues in any city that we want our young people to be involved in. So because there's already a youth council or city council in Sacramento, it'll be great to see who's going to be presenting the update, what schools or what students or what young people are going to be involved in this presentation, and support them. So the Sarah Musser, who's a recreation general supervisor, Rhonda Patterson, also who's a program manager, as well as Maria Vitas Medal, a program coordinator for the Department of Youth, Parks, and Community Enrichment. So this is very important for us to connect the dots and be in attendance for that council. Now on Thursday, July 27th, is the Planning and Design Commission meeting. And that's a bonus meeting for those who want to know more on how to practice their speaking points, on what to say at not only at a city council meeting, but at a commission meeting. Sometimes the commission meetings are just as important as a city council meeting. And each city has commission meetings covering economics, housing, women's health. It depends on how the city is structured. So this commission meeting is talking about property specifically, and the Stone, you can scroll down. The property that they'll be discussing is Stone Beatland Property Unit Development. So it is a nice parcel of land, and where they're planning to create 1,100 affordable housing units on this land. This is in District 8, which is May Vang, and it's going to be presented by Mayor Steinberg, right? So this is going to be interesting because Mayor Steinberg is the mayor, but he has, I guess, a special interest in this particular land. And I believe maybe close to $18 million of city funding will be initiating to the launch of this housing project. So those who want to attend, I strongly encourage that you follow along on Zoom if you're not able to physically be there, but it's good to listen in on the discussion on this planning process. This will give you an idea on what you would like to place or how land that you would like to see produced in that same fashion. If you have property that you want to build youth programs on, if you want to build housing as well, then it's very important to attend the Planning Commission concerning these properties. And so that will be the agenda for this week concerning Sacramento City Council.
Wonderful. All right, thank you for that. I'm going to go ahead and actually, let me see if I can put some of these. I'm going to put this link in the chat.
Okay.
See if anybody else would be interested in going. Can I? So this is a Zoom link?
Yeah, that's a Zoom link
Okay.
that's the actual link for the city council meeting ID. If you want to call, if you don't have access to Zoom, you could actually call via telephone, old school. You may not be able to do public comment or you may be able to. It all depends on how they're operating. But definitely you can do public comment through the Zoom as well. There is one agenda I did forget to mention. If you can scroll down, I think I skipped over it just quickly.
All right, let me, I'm kind of multitasking here. Okay, so let me know when I get it to it.
Right here, that right there on top. Scroll up the top page. There we go. So one agenda item also that's on the agenda is the U.S. Small Business Administration grant for Sacramento Neighborhoods Equity Initiative. And this is very important because, again, there are many grant opportunities that the city will be giving, and we have to be transparent on the amount that they're giving. So this one is $300,000 that they're giving for all nonprofits to apply for. If you think about it, there's hundreds of nonprofits. And so what is the amount that they're going to give? Probably $1,000 to $10,000, if that. So again, these funding aspects, we have to, as a collective, to let them know that we need equity for Black businesses. So $300,000 for all organizations to apply. It's not just Black organizations, it's all. So it really gives a slim chance for Black-ran organizations to actually have equity. And so we really want to make that point with the city of Sacramento to increase equity for Black businesses.
Okay. Well, I supposedly there's rumors going around. We actually spoke with somebody on our platform. They're trying to create like an equity council here, and part of that equity specifically for descendants is basically to see if they want to create a commission to study reparations here in Sacramento. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not holding my breath.
Yeah.
But
I think
honestly, it is what it is.
Yeah, I don't think we should have these cities, especially in California, to create their local reparations commissions. I mean, it's going backwards. We had a whole state California one, and everything that we need to discuss as far as the harms, we have a final report that was given out on June 29th. It's like reinventing the wheel, and I think it's just delaying and it's wasting funding. Right now, the California Task Force did a great job based on what they had with the 9 members. They did what they could with the information and gave a final report as they could. And so for us to keep having these cities trying to study with the local reparations commissions that they're trying to do, I mean, it's a complete waste of time, but then again, what do I know? I'm just born and raised citizen here.
All right, so I want to play a clip, and then we're gonna get out of here in about 5 minutes. So I'm gonna play about 1-2 minutes of this clip, and if you kind of just want to, briefly talk about the clip, and then I got some housekeeping to do that I didn't do in the beginning. And I was like, man, what am I doing? But we got Dr. Bay in the building, and all my brain frequencies were off because we got such a positive sister on here, and then I was just like, man, she's messing my whole program up. No, it's all good.
That's how we do. Well, we definitely do. Get back. Yes, sir.
All right, so let's play this clip here, and I'm not gonna give any surprises on what clip we're gonna play, but I'm just gonna play it, and if you can give your 2 cents to 100 cents on this clip that I think went viral, we greatly appreciate it. And then we'll go ahead, Auntie Maxine, and we'll go ahead and wrap. Okay, here we go. Let me know if you can hear it.
Yesterday is when I saw people standing on the street and they thought they could get Section 8 vouchers here. Right. You cannot get Section 8 vouchers here. But who put that information? 8 vouchers is a long line. We are fighting in Washington in something called the Build Back Better program. I put $25 billion that we're fighting to give people more Section 8. Now, the money that is available is for the absolute homeless under the emergency program. And that's what you started signing up for today. But because it could not be organized in a way, the workers that we forced to come down here from LASA and place to take the applications, they have put down their laptops and they are gone. There are no more applications.
Did they move locations, Maxie? Because I'm hearing one is on Wilshire. Did they move another location where they're taking apps? Is there any more locations than this one?
No, it might have been just so many people out here.
1 minute. I want everybody to go home. And I want
we don't got no home. Okay. That's why we here. Miss McKinney, Miss What home we gonna go to?
Yeah. Just a moment. Just a moment. Nothing is going to happen here today. Nothing is going to happen anymore today.
So what about all these names?
What we're gonna? Well, that's what. Give me.
Well, can you leave?
Excuse me.
Can you leave?
That's why I'm here. That's why I'm here. And so I will be downtown with LASA. I will get the housing authority. That's why they came out here today. I made them come out here.
And
I'm going to go.
And you need to know why they're failing, because Blanca Jimenez repeated, we gave her several meeting requests for you concerning this in LASA for years.
And now there's nobody in Washington who works for their people any fucking harder than I do.
I believe you.
I don't want to hear that.
I believe you. So can we finish though? Work with me.
No.
Work with me so we can house people. That's what I'm doing.
I do every day.
All right, so we're going to pause that there because we tried to make this. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen here because we try to keep this PG. Obviously, we tried to run commercials on here as well. We might get dinged because Aunt Maxine threw out the F-bomb. Thanks, Auntie Maxine. Anyway. Golly, people, can we keep it straight? Can we keep it straight? So yes, Dr. Truth Bay, can you kind of give us, a 2-3 minute, summary of why you were there and why Auntie Maxine was there, and why you were questioning her at that particular point in time. And
Right,
just
so-
before you go, when was this shot and filmed, by the way?
This was actually in South LA, not too far from where I live, actually. So it
So this
was
when, like 2021, 2020?
yeah, this was
When
last year.
Last year, okay, gotcha.
Yes, March of 2022.
2022,
I believe.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. This was the height of a program called the Emergency Housing Vouchers. And this was a specific voucher program for those who were in homeless shelters who were homeless that would get directly so-called something like Section 8, but it's not. It was an emergency housing voucher. So LAHSA, who's the name that's mentioned quite often, the Los Angeles Homeless Services Authority, was the agency, as I'm stating, that literally is an 800-member agency. And only LA is the only one that does that. Every other city has maybe 1 or 2 point people to address homelessness, but Los Angeles has LAHSA to address that. That's where, at least to keep them open, is $75 million just to keep them open, to pay the staff. So LAHSA had registered or told people that they were going to give out vouchers at a certain area. I got a phone call from several people that day, and they told me to come down because I'm actually a housing navigator. So I have a lot of Black families that were due for a voucher, that's sleeping in their cars, that are bona fide homeless, went through the process, and they get removed or bumped down from a list to receive resources. And so when I arrived there, it was almost 800 people standing, families, since 6 o'clock that morning for an agency called Fathers and Mothers Who Care that was located on that corner. They were saying they were giving out vouchers that day. So when I got there and I saw nobody, but I saw Auntie Maxine basically standing there with LAHSA. They gave out 3 vouchers and they went home. So all of the people were there in disarray. They, Black people were just families and children alike. They were so upset. So I decided to take down the names and the numbers of everyone standing there so I can follow up with them with their situation. Found out that a lot of the people that were giving out their information before I got there were given a piece of paper where they got all their personal information on there, and they don't have a telephone number, they don't have a email number, but they were asking for their income, their social security number, their tax returns, everything that's personal, but they didn't even have a contact number. Somebody gave me this document and said, this is what we were filling out before you got here. And so I said, now I see what was happening. So the federal dollars that Maxine was talking about, the Build Back Better program, it may have been $42 billion or $1 million, whatever she was saying, but none of it came to LA. Damn sure didn't come to South LA. So when she didn't know is that I was actually recording the whole time. So when she dropped the F-bomb, I was trying to get her off the side so I can speak to her on the side to explain to her for many years, as I have since 2013, what we need to do for these families. She just literally ignored me. And then she decided to address the crowd and our homeless constituents. So the person that you hear, Yvonne, she was the one that said, we ain't got no home. That's why we here. And exactly, why would you tell homeless people to go home? So this is the type of issues that I'm saying with my Black caucus politicians. We are not here to give you a bad name. We want you to work for the people. You represent Black people. But if you don't even live in the district that you say you're serving, she lives in Hancock Park. She goes out of her way to make sure people like me and other agencies don't get the funding to help our people. And so that day she didn't know that she was being recorded because she put in an alternative story out in ABC that day because she has a connection with ABC. Completely the opposite of what was actually shown. And so we do have LA Times, and shout out to LA Times and the investigative reporters. They're the ones that were there as well, and they published the real story. And that is why since that day, it has been very bad for Auntie Maxine. But again, she is Auntie Maxine. She's been there since day one. You have people that will still support her, homeless people that were there that were still giving her reference. But all I've been asking for District 43 is to have the federal funding. She's part of the financial committee, that the federal funding goes to the agencies, not of her choice, but the ones doing the work. So LAHSA was definitely one that should not receive any more federal funding since 2011. they have been shown to return federal funding, $150 million worth back in 2021. They returned funding. Funding that is needed to house the homeless is not going towards the homeless. So that was a big disappointment that day. It didn't mean to go viral, but honestly, I didn't expect her to drop the F-bomb either and tell homeless people to go home. So it is what it is. So let it be known. We want our politicians to be transparent. I mean, there's still enough money to steal. You still have enough money to do your own thing, but you don't deprive the people of what they need for your own pockets. And that's where the buck stops here.
Facts. All right. So just one, if you give 1 or 2 minutes, because I'm trying to wrap. We're about an hour and 20 in. I thought we was going to go an hour, but obviously we way past that, which is good because it's information for the people. So one question, and I got some in-house stuff I got to get done. What's your grade on, I guess, 1 to 5, maybe 10, I don't know, scale of the mayor Karen Bass right now? What's going on with LA? Give the family update.
Well,
that good, huh?
We just mentioned, as we mentioned before, she was in the 37th District Congress. She was in Congress when all this went down. So if in a congressional level, we don't have District 43 and District 37 solving the homeless crisis, what makes you think as mayor that she's going to do any better? So I'm going to leave it like that. People to do your own research, okay? Because the evidence is right there. So I don't have to say anything. I just want the same resources that are given to the Latino family. And I'm talking about specifically in LA. I can't say what other cities are saying, but I'm sure they operate the same way. All of the homeless deputies that work for Karen Bass are of a certain ethnicity. That's all I got to say. So Black families, no matter what, we always get the bottom of the barrel. So we want to see differences. That's why the homeless czar position that Gavin Newsom put out, it has to be a Black person in that position. There has been none on a homeless on that level that is a descendant of slave, let alone a Black person, but a descendant of slave, which is why I'm requesting to apply for that particular position, as well as 3 other of my comrades. And so this is our plan of action. We wish all the best to Karen Bass. You know, emotional politics, we don't play that. I want to know what you are going to do for the people. If they have done their job, I wouldn't exist. My mouth wouldn't exist. So I am here for the long run for my people to get accountability. We need to have political members that are focusing on descendants of slaves. So I like to see politicians in that seat, whether you're a mayor, Congress, Senate, assembly person, governor. We need someone that's focused on Black issues. And that's what I like to see.
Wonderful. All right. So I'm going to quickly go through some of these comments here. Congratulations, family. Appreciate you. Brother John Kofi. What up, Mike? Black Magic Mike in the building. Great supporter, man. What's up, bro?
Right.
Definitely shout out to that brother. Newsom kind of sometime.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Hey, Dr. Flo. Okay, what's in the building? Oh, partner. K Mims in the building. K Move. What's go? So the homeless czar position doesn't automatically transfer to the new mayor. Great question. I don't know. Do you know that?
No, this was a special circumstance because Darrell Steinberg is close to Gavin Newsom, that he literally gave it to Darrell Steinberg without the public knowing. How we found out that Darrell Steinberg was a homeless czar was actually at a reparations hearing in Sacramento. We found out that Darrell got that job. So shout out to the reparations task force. You know, when he came to do his little spiel saying, well, I don't know. I didn't know that the Blacks were going through so many issues. I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but it was so sad how Darrell Steinberg decided to take the mic and play ignorance on that day. So exactly, no reparations, no reparations.
I mean, what are we at, like 30-40% of the homeless population, the Black descent community now? I think that's one. Are we higher now? I mean, I don't know where we at.
In some places, we're over half. If we're less than 13% of the population in some areas, we are literally overrepresented. So 51% easy, incarceration and homelessness go hand in hand. We are on top of that list. So that's why it has to be a Black homeless czar to really solve the problem, because at this point, we don't have self-interest. We really do want to be ahead on something, and housing disparities should be one of them that we should be able to take care of. So Homeless Czar 2024, let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, so family, we're going to wrap it up here. Appreciate, what's up, Miss Crumity in the building as always. Darlene in the building, supporting not only ETM, but the whole reparations advocate. Darlene is just huge, man. She is huge
right
into
on
this movement. So shout out to Darlene. Shout out to everybody. That's right. You know, what is this? Skin folk, all and kinfolk. Appreciate everybody for coming through. Salute, bro. Salute. Much respect for you, Black Magic Mike in the building. So let's go get some in-house stuff so we can go ahead and wrap it up, because I know everybody wants to get back to their evening. And
just quickly, 1percentage.org. If you want to join
.org. All right.
Yes, log on to, because we do have an alternative government. It's called the 1619 Rep Party. So shout out to President Reggie Reg, who's also been part of reparations.
Reggie Reg.
Big double R. So 1619 Rep Party is actually an alternative governance that we're hoping to be on the ballot for 2024. So those who want to leave the Democratic plantation, they'll have an opportunity to do so. So believe you me, by the next year elections, we will have a platform for our Black people to escape and to prosper and to grow. So I'm real excited for that. And thank you again for you, Brother Moya, for the work that you have done covering reparations. So we want to give you your flowers here, right now, to ETM Media, Menda Media. And we just appreciate your work. And we hope that we all can work together.
Peace.
Power to the people.
So what if you could just put it in as I'm going through some of our in-house, if you want to put your link in there, and I'll post it into the chat so everybody can go support, 1percentage.org. So if you don't mind putting that link in the chat, and then I'll go ahead and post it while I'm going through before we get out of here. So all right, so speaking of political education, right here on Emin the Mass Media Group, we are going to be doing, let me take off this comment, because I, do love my brothers and sisters out there, but we need to make sure that we've got all the information on the slide. So right here on Emin the Mass Media Group, and I wish I had the other slide up, but every Sunday, as a matter of fact, let me go get that slide, because it just ain't gonna make no sense if I just keep talking and not even have the right slide up. But as I'm trying to get the slide up, tomorrow we are going to have the first episode of a special report that we did with our good brother Emmanuel Smith, who is located in East Palo Alto. We sat down with the brother, and we just wanted to talk to him from his side of the story. There has been an ABC footage out there right now that's on the internet that we definitely wanted to have Emmanuel to explain, because we just looked at it and we were like, bro, what was going on? What happened? So it's an 11 series special report that we're doing right here on ETM Media. They're going to be posting every Tuesday, right? So tune in, watching every Tuesday. Come back. We might follow up with Emmanuel. I think he has his next hearing appearance in court is September 11th. So we'll probably follow up with him as the series goes, just to keep the family up to date with that. And let's see. Okay, am I close to it? All right. Anyway, I can't find it at this point, so we're just gonna keep moving. All right. So Sundays from 10 a.m. Hopefully, we're gonna wrap it up in about an hour. We're actually going to start off. Our first show is going to be about the legislation, particularly the California legislative process. So we're going to going into and doing a deep dive into what we're actually going to be looking for into this legislation bill with the reparations legislation bill in particular. But we're going to give an overall process. That's going to be our first show. So we're going to go a deep dive. So we're going to take our time with this, right? We're going to take our time. We're going to explain what the 41 plus 21 plus 1 equals reparations. We're going to explain all that as we go through. But you got to stay involved, stay tuned in to get this information. All right. And so I do have a side project also as well, Freedom X, kind of my alter ego, in the building. If you haven't seen the music video, please check that out. It's getting a little love across the internet.
Cut the check.
Cut the check. So if you haven't had a chance, check the video out right here on ETM Media Group. Spread the love, spread the word. And, once again, family, thank you for your time. And you know what, before I go, let me post this into the chat here, family. And okay. Yep. 1percentage.org. 1percentage.org. So yes, family, today's topic was housing and homeless and the importance of the upcoming July 25th, 2023 hearing. We'll see if we can try to stream it here live on ETM as it goes. If not, because we got some other things that we're doing right now, we'll try to live stream it. If not, we'll try to see if we can find a recording and repost it if possible. And I'm just going to get us back on the screen just real quick before we get out of here. And so, Dr. Bey, so when you go to there, what are you looking to do in terms of, and I'm not going to assume, I never assume, that's why I have to ask, in terms of your public comment. Are you going to public comment? And then what is your goal into your public comment, if there is a public comment at this particular hearing?
Well, my role is to support the local Sacramento organizations that are already there. There's usually a lot of roadblocks. And so at the end of the council meetings is to really connect the dots and get to know the Sacramento City Council. Again, from LA, so I know LA Council pretty well, and Sacramento's no different. And Daryl Steinberg took my job. So we have some unfinished business, so to speak. So I just want to find out what their plan of action is for housing, for the community, for youth programs, for equity. And a lot of other organizations will be there to speak on their agenda items. So I'm just really there to support and ultimately be the tie-in for the city of Sacramento. So I really do love organizations like I Am SAC, Stephon Clark Foundation have been in the forefront in really leading the charge for a lot of things that the young people need. And so we just need to really support other organizations that's doing the groundwork here in Sacramento. And that way there really is no formula. There really is no plan or training book or steps on how to really have effective governance. Everything is a day-to-day basis, but getting involved in the monthly city council is our ultimate goal, is to find out how we can work together with the city of Sacramento and bridge the gap for the people there.
Wonderful. All right, thank you, Dr. Truth Bey, in the building. And as always, on that note, on ETM the Mass Media Group, as we say, peace and reparations, family. You guys have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you later.
Deuces.
Right.
The way it currently stands, forced labor, slavery takes precedence over rehabilitation and public safety.
Oh, by the way, while the Biden administration gives reparations to everyone but freed people, look at the billions he has run over to Ukraine.
We don't have black grocery stores because if you think about it now, just to get in that supply chain, it's almost unheard of.
They don't want the truth to get out. Okay? I don't want to know what my family did or what all these people did and all this stuff like that. Okay? You read that 500-page report.
There's this thing called white superiority and black inferiority. That mindset allows all of the behaviors that we've seen across generations.
I had no idea that church I was running by every day was something my grandfather established.
This is not a handout. This is a debt that is owed.
You know, Allensworth was like the internet of his time in 1904, 1905.
The total black population in California is about 2.6 million, and then of that, the descendants compose about 2.2 million of that. So California, with a multi-billion-dollar surplus, can absolutely afford to satisfy the international terms for reparations, beginning with compensation.
Any financial obstacle that exists that impedes the success of increasing financial prosperity needs to be dealt with and eliminated.
No matter where we've been, no matter what part of this fight we've been in, we've been harmed, and we've had harm done to us specifically.
When I got to Los Angeles, this was some of the worst segregation I'd ever seen. And remember, I'm telling you, I'm from Mississippi.
Because as you can see, I'm giving you broken history right now, you know? But I had to give it to you guys today. I said, no, I got to show them this because it's so precious and nobody really knows about it.
Overnight, it's like, oh, it's no longer the quarters, now it's Lincoln Heights. Oh, so now we get to use Abraham Lincoln for our name. And you think about all the other people that they could have used, but they picked Lincoln. And I think that's sort of a stereotypical of what they do.
There wasn't any black restaurants. As far as black business and weed, it wasn't none.
Black people don't have that kind of luxury. Our historically black communities have been redistricted multiple times.
Why has it been easier for other groups than us?
Because of anti-black hatred.
Now listen, if you can't handle the TR room, don't tune in.